Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to SCS Quals here on SFCL. It's the B stream. It's an exciting matchup coming your way. I'm Corbeck. Alongside me is Sirius. It's Young Studs versus Byakko, but don't forget to go check out our 8th stream. It's over on Nerd Street R6. You can see EQ3 versus Didn't Ask playing an exciting match right there. But, well, I mean, this is also a pretty intense one. Am I not correct here?
Yeah, basically all four teams actually at 4 and 3. So it's just going to be a matter of win or go home, because you need that 5th win to secure a spot into the closed qualifier, because this is it. If you lose here, you're basically out, and you'll have to wait until the next qualifier next weekend. So we're just going to have to see what these rosters can do, and we'll pull them right up as we see Byakko have hashtag Ramsey, Moose, Soggy C, Bucktal, the Young Studs rounding us out with Goons, J-Rock, Reenactment, Reefers, and Benny.
So when we talk about these two teams being even too, we should say here, Sirius, I mean, they are even, right? Both 4 and 3, both with a -2 map differential, literally on the bubble of going farther, getting in those quals. So this is really important. Let's take a look at the map vetoes here and see where we will be playing tonight. Of course, it is just a best of 1, so we will only be seeing 1 map for all the marbles. Skyscraper and Clubhouse already off the board to start.
Yeah, it was just really interesting bands just coming off, getting whatever one default map, one map that has not really been played a lot in this qualifier. Bank, Border, Cafe, Theme, rounding out the next couple of bands, leaving us with Oregon Chalet bands and going back to Villa, something I just casted in the last stream.
Well, there's no escape. There's no escape from the Italian country, Sky. You are holding the dungeon of that Villa. Young Studs will be starting off on the defense there too, which I think we should say is a pretty big advantage for them. Villa, one of those very, I would say, quite heavily defender-sided maps, so that's something that we're going to want to keep in mind here, and something they have to be pretty happy with.
Just being able to start off on the defense is going to be such a huge advantage, at least early on, because neither of these teams are going to have a lot of great intel on each other. Young Studs, kind of more of a pug stack team, don't really know a whole lot about them. Goose is the only real notable name that I'm aware of. Byakko, I've seen a couple of times, a team that has kind of played really well in qualifiers, able to make it to close, but not able to quite win it out and secure themselves into the regular season of any league, really. So it's going to hopefully able to do it once again, win this game out and put themselves into close calls.
Yeah, I mean, and the pressure here is immense, right? That's something that we should point out for these guys. It's been a long day. They played seven matches to get to this point. 3 of those have been losses. Obviously, that weighs a little heavy. You got to put it in the rearview mirror and come back into this, full speed ahead. And it's a lot here. It's already what I want to say almost midnight on the East Coast as well. So if any of these players are over there too, that's a whole nother factor of tiredness. It's a weekend. Thursday, right? There's a lot going into this, so I don't know that we're going to be getting both teams at their peak, let's say, but I think we're going to be getting both teams kind of at the to the knife, right? Like, this is about as intense as it gets for both of these squads for today, at least.
I mean, it's definitely just going to be a matter of who is still playing very consistent and who's kind of just making a lot of those mistakes. As you mentioned, it is getting late, so you would expect to see these players get a little tired, kind of getting later in the day, long matches. You expect them to kind of get a little bit more tired, make a few little mental mistakes, kind of just not playing nearly as high level as they have been throughout these games. And just seeing that they've been 4 and 3 right now, it's not really been consistent for either of these teams. So it's going to be a matter of who really just kind of does better.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that we should add, this is obviously something they're going to be dealing with, the tiredness, the maybe the decrease in coordination here as we get into a later hour. One of the benefits of playing a map like Villa in this scenario is it is familiar territory for both these two teams, right? Everybody knows Villa. Most Siege players who are competing in SCS Quals can probably tell you the layout of Villa, like in their sleep, back of their hand, or whatever you want to say. So that adds an advantage here, especially again for the defending side. You should know all your assignments, right? You're going in, it should be pretty rote at this point in time. So that helps with cohesion for both attack and defense, and is something that I think will be super beneficial to them going forward. But I mean, I was going to ask you, Sirius, if you thought that one team or another had an edge here, but I just think they're too close to really even discuss things like an edge, if I'm being honest.
I mean, the fact that they're both at -2 round differential just kind of just tells me that they're not nobody has a real clear advantage over each other. It's kind of just like, it's kind of a coin flip because I want to say I trust Byakko more. I've seen their name in like qualifiers like Xenon. I've seen them play really well against some of these better teams, but just not quite able to get the edge over some of these other better ones. And then Young Studs don't really know anything about them. So at least for me, I'm going to trust Byakko for the moment because I know them. I've seen how they play. They play really good structured siege. And Young Studs, it's going to have to be, how do you do in the game as far as coordination and all that? So it's going to be a matter of, can you impress me, I guess, is the lack of a better term.
Sirius is sitting in judgment right there. So that's something a little terrifying for both these teams.
It shouldn't be terrifying at all. Who the hell am I? I mean, I'm just some caster. I mean,
you're the caster.
I'm the caster.
You should be starting the game. You control everything. Everybody knows that. It's all scripted. Did you not read the script?
Wait, you got sent the script? Hold on. Gotta read through this. Hold on. I need to read through this.
Start thumbing through those pages as quick as you can, and give me an idea of what we're looking at. I mean, I agree with you, right? Like, this is a bit of an unknown quantity here, right? From these teams, from Young Studs. So, it's been a bit surprising. I think some of the stuff that I've seen today in quals has definitely surprised me. And it is worth pointing out, as tense as this is, we should give them the out, right? Which is that there is another qualifier next week. So it's not totally do or die, but it's pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's just going to be a matter of, like, again, just who is, like, kind of staying on top of the mental game at the moment. Because, like, again, you're writing at 4-3, so like the mental's kind of just got to be kind of all over the place. You're just kind of worried about, can you secure this final win, or is it going to be just like we have to wait till next weekend, which doesn't seem like a long time, but it's really a long time to wait in the back of your mind, knowing that I had to coach quals before. It's always just something you have to really think about, especially if you don't do well in the first qual.
Yeah, no escape too. And like you said, I can't imagine going out of the quals and having to go back in again. It's gonna, it's gonna take some mental to get over that, especially after such a long day. But looking at the ban phase here, I think the reason that neither you or I was talking about it very much was because this is all pretty standard here for a Villa map. The Danish Demon Nook off the board, the Flores getting removed there as well. Obviously, Valkyrie, one of the most popular defensive operator bans in the entire game, and a very sensible ban for this Villa side. Based on all of that, I don't think Young Studs is about to surprise us by coming out here and banning Rook, but I guess you never necessarily know, Sirius, if it's going to be off the pocket. Let's find out. It is not. It is Mira. So a pretty bog standard ban phase there for your average Villa.
I mean, aside from the Nook, this is kind of just resembling the old like meta bans on this map. I mean, just replace Nook with Thatcher, and then you basically got the old ban lineup. That's pretty much the only thing changing. And, it's like kind of just goes to show that both of these teams are playing very default. They're not looking to try to reinvent the wheel on this map. It's kind of hard to, because it's been around for so long. You kind of know what to expect at this point, just kind of like you're going to see probably a roam over on the statue trophy site. I forgot the other site, but regardless, we're not going to really see anything too crazy aside from the Azami, which is going to act as a bunch of shields. That's going to be really difficult for Byakko to deal with.
Yeah, I was going to say the only thing about taking the Mira out of play, and I don't necessarily think that's a bad ban, right? But the only thing about taking the Mira out is you do leave the Azami on deck. So a very powerful operator in and of her own right. Like you said, a bunch of shields, the ability to, straight up block doorways and hatches and what have you, all very valuable. I really like, by the way, J-Rock here coming out on the Goyo. We haven't seen a ton of Goyo in my matches today, or that I've been watching. So the Volcans, very useful up here on AVG. Everything else looking pretty standard there. I don't think there's anything too shocking. The attacking lineup too, I'll be honest with you here, this is like the bans, really. Serious, it's standard siege, right? This is about as vanilla Villa as you could possibly get.
About as stock standard as you can get, aside from possibly the Dokkaebi pick. But really early engagements going out super early, especially as Reefers try to get super aggressive onto the Brick's doorway, and he's immediately dead. That's just already a lot of pressure gone onto this part of the map. And now Byakko has a lot of map control super early on, even in the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, they've really shoved their way in there quite aggressively, honestly. Reapers was the only really check. The safety valve on that side immediately knocked down. Of course, you now have to kind of cross this hallway, this landing here, and it's not a particularly pleasant spot. Just an army of drones, by the way, chasing J-Rock around the corner right there. So giving them a pretty good idea that there was a Goyo in that general vicinity, but is not. And they haven't yet really worked up the courage to push out from the position that they're currently holding. Certainly, they could do it, and you now will maybe see the first tentative footsteps here as Goose comes up to the corner and prepares to challenge down the corridor. But really, it's only a temporary push. Taking their time about it, our Byakko. No need to rush here.
Definitely not. Just really, like you mentioned, taking their time, trying to see if they can gather as much info as they can get onto these last players of Young Studs on the bomb site. Don't have to deal with any roamers, interestingly, so no C4 play from below is going to really threaten any of their positions. As we do see Buck trying to nade from below, does connect onto Goons. That's going to be that shield presence over an Aviator gone now. So this is just going to be opening up the site for the execute.
Goose here checking down, tries to see if there's an opportunity, won't quite find it. You see Father now leaning in. Father trying to engage right there, won't hit the shots though. That did take a chunk out of reenactment, but not enough to actually bring him down. It's J-Rock who actually strikes next. So Buck, he of the frag grenade, is sent off the board here. So a 4-3 now, still slightly favoring the attackers. Really reenactment in a bit of danger over here, holding landing. I don't particularly like that position. J-Rock will be the next step up in the firing line, though. The Vector not delivering the kills when needed. Good nitro cell, though, from Benny. J-Rock following up on it very quickly, and that's super sussy Soggy taken out as well.
Oh, that's just a very unfortunate C4 because that execute was getting so prepared to go down. But now Goose and Father are all alone. Father being the last player, 12 seconds left. Not looking very likely to deal with, but he does Benny and only has to deal with reenactment and J-Rock. But little time, and that diffuser is going to have to go down to see if he can keep this round going. Well, unfortunately, J-Rock, bit of a whiffage early on, but is able to finally connect onto the head, and that's the first round going the way of Young Studs.
Well, Young Studs got to be happy with that performance. We did say, or I did say, at least the defensive side advantage was theirs. Not entirely surprising. I mean, I'll be honest with you, though, serious. I did actually like Byakko's attack in a lot of ways. I felt that they were pretty cautious, pretty methodical about things. Got a little desperate there at the end, and I think that was really when Young Studs started to punish them, was when they basically, I don't know if they quite ran out of time or if they just really felt the pressure there to make it over, to end it, and they weren't really able to execute in the way that they had been.
Well, the thing is, because they were running a no hard breach lineup, which is pretty common on this map, I'd say, in comparison to other maps, but you have to make sure that the defense doesn't have to just only look one direction. They only pushed from one direction, which meant that Young Studs could basically hyper-focus onto the wolf doorway and just shoot them as they walked right on in, and just deny that plant with the C4, and just basically meant they only had to look one certain direction. The study pressure wasn't really there from Father. So it's just a matter of, can you just, like, you didn't do enough to distract Young Studs. So just make sure you slow it down. Make sure you actually assert pressure onto the other parts of the map to allow yourself to get that plant down.
Yeah, it's a very, very valid point that you're bringing up right there. And I mean, the timer, right, is an enemy in Siege. You have to take it into account. It's sort of the sixth defender. And I think it just got the better of Byakko right there. So you've got to work on a way to get kind of that cautious approach, but with just a little bit more tempo. They're actually playing the exact opposite of last round, getting super aggressive as Super Sussy Soggy picks one off, but the Mossberg is waiting on the other side. Buck is also down here, but look at this. Goose jumping in through the gap in the wall. He's cut down from behind, though, and that leaves it at a 2-3, making a 3v1. The defenders not having the same run of luck they did last time. Technically, this is a 2v1 because one of those players is DBNO, but it will be Byakko who finishes it off. So a lightning quick end to the exact opposite of our slow round that we saw in AVG.
What the hell just happened? I looked down for 1 second and all of a sudden, oh, Soggy's just already in solar. He's already gotten basically 2 kills. And now he's dead. And now it's all of a sudden 3v1. What the hell just happened? Like, that was just such a fast round. I'm pretty sure it finished within the first minute. I'm almost positive it did. That is an impressive lightning pace, recognizing that you maybe slowed down a little too much after a very great start, but just countering that immediately and just saying, we're not wasting any time, we're going.
It's actually interesting, and I mean, I don't know if it's as complicated as this, but I would be tempted to wonder if the change in tempo is very much deliberate in the sense that you just played a very kind of slow, cautious game on AVG. Now, all of a sudden, you just come hard and fast, right? Like straight in on trophy statuary, and I don't think Young Studs expected that at all. Just the way that they were moving around the site, you saw the Frost just sort of walking around. I don't think they thought that they were going to see such a sort of rapid assault from this Byakko team. So a good bit of flexibility right there, honestly, to take their opponents off guard and, you know, keeping it even here early in the match.
I mean, for starters, who really expects Zofia to already be in solar within the first 30 seconds?
Oh, exactly.
Nobody just really expects that. I mean, but now we're seeing a little bit of a slower pace. Just Byakko's not looking to take it as quickly as they did last time, realizing that Youngstad's probably not going to let that happen again. They're going for a more standard roam clear. Soggy and Goose are just going to be moving on over to the main stairs part of the map. They do know that Jaeger is over here, so they're just going to have to try to see if they can pinch him out and clear him. But unfortunately, one man goes down, and he just misses on the refrag. Ultimately, leaving it even, but that's going to be a very good pick early on. But essentially, that just gets rid of utility burn later on.
Yeah, that's about it. I mean, you know, obviously Zofia is not an operator you want to lose, but I mean, she's not probably the worst operator to lose. It's not like frag grenades they're still in contention. Hash has obviously still got the air jabs to bring to bear here as well. So a lot of valuable attacking util preserved there by the sacrifice of that Zofia, and the 4-4 is maintained as well. I do like this pace of tempo. You know, they're kind of taking it slower. They're playing it more cautiously, and if they do this enough, I think that it will throw Young Studs off their game. But speaking of throwing, Super Sussy Soggy gets a Nitro Cell thrown at them, and that is that. So there will be no Iana frag grenades. There will be no Iana Gemini. That is all they have to offer, and a 3-4 now in favor of the defenders.
Well, it's kind of similar to what we saw in the first round. They got a really good opening engagement, but then started to slow down. And now all that pressure is just kind of not really coming out for the side of Byakko, as Benny can kind of just sit in this position using those my discs and using the bomb as essentially his mini shield, I guess. But at the same time, just kind of not really able to rotate around too well. It's going to be up to maybe Father to try to rotate over to Solar to try to get some of that pressure off of Buck, so that way they can pinch him out.
Yeah, Father's the one who's going to be kind of the man in motion right here. Steps up, fires a couple of rounds for the DMR, and then throws a flash in there almost petulantly at the end. Doubles back to the other side of Astro to see if they can play through the hatch. One more flash going up. That gets caught by the Wamai disc. Meanwhile, Bucktal gets one with the frag grenade and then drops. Father then picks up Goons. So the kills flying in here. Hash with a great shot from the AK-12. Reenactment is done. J-Rock now desperately holding on here in trophy. Hash does a good little double back right there. It is a 1v1 for all intents and purposes. J-Rock swinging around the corner. Beautiful headshot to end it.
I mean, just again, kind of similar story to the first round. Byakko have a really good opening engagement. It was ultimately a refrag, but I mean, you'll take that, right? But then towards the end, started to slow down, started to lose the momentum they gained pretty early on. And then all of a sudden, they had no pressure onto site because, again, they're not bringing a hard breach, so you can't really go rotate to master and try to open up that wall. And then all of a sudden, it just comes down to Young Studs holding their angles, refragging each other, which they're doing really well right now. And Byakko just are not really doing anything to counter these holds. They're not doing anything to make them really just have these positions be untenable for them.
Yeah, valid. I mean, it's been a bit interesting because I mean the one round where Byakko obviously was an absolute firecracker was the one where they never really let Young Studs get settled. And I think that there's something to be said for the way that Byakko has been playing. I praise their cautious play. I think that's super valid. But I do wonder if that one round is indicative maybe of the idea that if they could put a little bit of the heat on earlier, Young Studs might not be perfectly placed to do that. Speaking of placing things, J-Rock there throwing out a pre-planted nitro cell to await some poor unfortunate soul. goons here lurking nearby as well for this kind of early assault here. It looks like J-Rock stepping up towards master bedroom as well to be the contest on this side. It'll be Byakko trying to make their way in, the first of many tests here.
Well, they're kind of just going for another standard kind of just master overtake, but Sagi's already down below in library, looking to possibly see if he can nade someone out from below. We do hear some Dokkaebi calls come out, but nothing's really coming of it. They're not capitalizing on that information. And now Young Studs is kind of seeming like they don't know where the rest of Byakko's attack is coming from, because we've seen a lot of them rotate around to down below, asserting some pressure over onto Master, but now it's all of a sudden seems like it's a full rotation down below.
Yeah, it's definitely a shift. They've all gone over now to the study side, moving underneath and heading towards the stairs. So perhaps Young Stud's kind of confusion is perfectly justified. Reenactment here holding those stairs does have all the smoke canisters to play with. Doesn't have a lot in terms of defense. The Volcan actually going off right there will slow down the ability of Byakko to kind of push and pursue. Hash is now up on the balcony as well, stepping in to look down over towards Games. And Reenactment probably starting to feel a little uncomfortable, but I don't think there's any reason for him to panic. About 1 minute, 20 seconds on the clock here, and our first smoke canister is out to deny the entry. Wow, they'll throw another one there to deny the stairs as well, so maybe Reenactment is feeling the pressure.
Well, it's looking like that's gonna have to happen really soon. Only a minute left, and Goons is trying to see if he can assist his teammate of Reenactment over in Study. That's just gonna mean they have to waste a lot more time, but that pressure is now gone. Sagi getting him from the hatch is able to eliminate Goons, so now Reenactment's probably gonna have to fall back or get another kill to even it out.
Oh, he tried to get cheeky right there. Hash was just waiting on the cross angle. It simply wouldn't go. J-Rock, though, hey, he'll get right back in. Bucktal already down. J-Rock now playing off of that Azami barricade as best he can. Benny here playing a couple of really tight angles as well, leaning out of Games. There's Benny stepping across. A couple of shots go in, but it's Super Sussy Soggy who strikes first. 4-2 now. Make it a technical 3v2. Make it a technical 2v2. Benny finds one with the shotgun here. 18 seconds left on the clock. Everything to play for Byakko. That Volcan actually working against them, preventing Reapers from getting back into the site. Time ticking down. Super Sussy stepping on. The plant coming out from Hash right here as Reapers finally makes their way back in. Plant denied. That's all they needed. And the unmarked defender, the Jaeger, slips back in at the critical moment.
Oh, man, because that was just a very slow round from Byakko that was finally looking like it was going to go their way, but just the final second, just not being very aware of where that Jaeger was just kind of cost them because they didn't have any drones or information on it. So just unfortunately for Byakko, now Young Studs is going to be up 3-1, and really, they haven't really been able to do much to kind of just make sure they secure these rounds pretty fairly in their favor, aside from the one where they just rushed right onto site in the first minute. So even when they take things slow and just be a little bit smarter about just their positioning and punishing Young Stud's aggression, it's not really quite going their way because they don't have everything they need to secure that round win.
Yeah, I'm with you there 100%. I'll be honest, Serious. I mean, I don't know. I'll ask you because I feel like you have a bigger Siege brain than I do, just based off of what I've been hearing coming out of here. Do you think that Byakko is disadvantaged here because they are the worst team, or do you think they are disadvantaged here because they are on the attack?
I think it's that's a tough question because I feel like
that's what we're all about here. Tough
it's a
question.
bit of they're partly on attack, but they have a really smart. I like the ideas they're putting out. It's just they're not really capitalizing on any advantages they get. They seem to be really far behind in terms of just being able to set the pace pretty well throughout the round. They start off really well at first, but then they slow it down really hard throughout the rest of the round, and that kind of hurts them towards the end of it. And because of that, Young Studs can kind of just settle down. Even though they're man down, they can just settle down, hold those angles, and just deny any entrance to the bomb site. And just at the last round, just kind of just catch Byakko completely off guard, frankly, because they weren't really paying attention. And so it's just, Byakko are not going to be in a bad spot if they can make this like a 2-4-3-3 side switch. But it's really just going to come down to, can they shore up these small mistakes they're making? Because I really like what they're doing, but they're just not doing enough to secure the round wins.
For sure. I mean, when you're on the razor's edge like this, you know, right on the bubble, those small mistakes are what's really going to get you. Just in case you were wondering what the score is, by the way, over on Nerd Street R6, our A stream, EQ3 up 3-0 over Didn't Ask, and they are playing on Chalet in round number 4, so that's something you can keep an eye on there if you're interested. But back to this matchup here on Villa we go. It'll be the tertiary bomb site of Kitchen on offer. Taking a quick look here at the lineups, and I don't actually, yeah, again, nothing too shocking here. How are you feeling? I know you said at the very start, you know, the Dokkaebi not exactly vanilla Villa. How do you feel about that Dokkaebi pick now, about 5 rounds in?
Well, we do see Goons on a bulletproof camera, and I think that's kind of just a double-edged sword for Father on Dokkaebi. You can also use her to basically find out where the roamers are using the audio calls from the cell phones. And then also now with the recent buff, she can also get any dead defenders off the cam. So now they have to basically spectate or just look at nothing for a good portion of the round. But at that point, it's just kind of like, is it really more useful than basically a Jackal who can also bring smokes? Or just anything else? It's like, there may be, it's not a bad pick, but it's like, is there something else you could bring that could be slightly better?
The Jackal is a very good point. I kind of forgot. I'm so used to seeing Jackal not played that I actually kind of forgot he was available right here. Bucktal steps in. Beautiful little murder hole right down onto the top of Reenactment, who I don't think even knew what hit him. Goose there going ahead and destroying a shield. Goose now stepping up into the breach themselves. A couple of shots through the wall. Goose just pumping away. Won't find anything as Reapers continues to fall back. Benny, though, on the action with the SMG-11 will take Hash out of the mix, at least for now. And that stabilizes things for a moment here at a 4v4.
Did you hear any Nomad charges actually go down? I don't think I did.
No, I don't think they... Hash died without putting any down. I'm almost certain.
Well, that's going to hurt their flank watch chances later on, but Soggy is trying to make up for it and just gets a nice wallbang kill onto Goons. That's going to be a lot of that side pressure now gone. So it's really just going to be up to Benny to try to deny any of these entrances onto site, but he's on such low HP. Only 1 bullet's needed to essentially down him or just straight up kill him.
He's getting a little tense here. Super Sussy Soggy dropping in that Gemini clone, sending it forward here to do a little bit of light scouting, looking around the point to see if they can catch a defender. Well positioned, much like this. Reapers here just waiting at the bottom of the stairs. J-Rock on a very tight angle leaning into China as well. So solid defensive positions all around here for the young stud side. Byakko doing their level best to try and maybe winkle them out of those spots, but having a bit of a hard time of it. Worth pointing out, Benny very low on health right now. Not a particularly great scenario for that smoke player, as he's going to have to be very cautious here on this tertiary bomb site, but it's Reapers who dies first. I don't think we necessarily saw that one coming. Super Sussy Soggy picking up the kill as Benny now waits with a gun facing towards China here. 20 seconds left on the clock. Byakko with the distinct advantage, and it's actually the plant that will start to go down. Father drops it. Bucktal gets one. That leaves everything on the shoulders of J-Rock, who will step out of cover and run face first into the Quebecois operator.
Well, for once, their slow take actually paid off really well there, because everyone from Young Studs was kind of just getting a little too antsy around the actual bomb site. They couldn't sit anywhere very comfortably. And so just because of that, Soggy was able to just get so many kills into the, what's that? Memo area of the map, and just able to kill all those players as they're just kind of dancing around because, well, the floor is open above them. They have nowhere to move. And now all you have to do is essentially kill them as they try to rotate back and deny that plant. But at that point, you have so many guns trained on those doorways that they can do nothing. So a much better round from Byakko. And just Young Studs just need to be a little bit more patient, just not give away those advantages so early on.
Oh, the specter of the 3-3 looming a little bit large in the lobby now, and probably looming a little bit large in the minds of Young Studs, who I imagine want to capitalize as much on their starting position on the defense as they can. Something that they're going to have to take into account here on Trophy Statuary. I mean, the site's not been terrible for them. I'm trying to remember. I cannot remember where Byakko's 2 dubs came from, barring last round, so I guess they're 1 dub. But it's a fairly standard defensive setup here as well. Reenactment kind of taking the sharp edge, and they're, oh no, they've got caught out. They expanded into the other direction, and Byakko is all on the master bedroom side.
Oh no, this is already looking pretty bad because it's all direct, and they may try to go for another very quick execute onto the bomb site, possibly recognizing that everyone's kind of on the other side of the map. But so far, only getting the one kill, kind of taking things very slowly, not looking to try to over-aggress too early on, but that could have been really bad if they recognized that super early on.
Not on the speed when you need him to be on the speed right there. Yeah, that would have been an absolute Blitzkrieg moment if it had gone off. Goons here sitting with the Mossberg, waiting up close, literally getting stepped on. Gets one, checks the window, won't find it, jumps back the other way. Nitro Cell out, unfortunately hits the wall. Very close here, can't quite clip Father with the shotgun and has to bail out of that entire situation. The fact that he was able to survive alone, I think, is genuinely impressive. And he certainly put the fear of God into Super Sussy Soggy, who's hanging around in the bathroom, not particularly eager to push forward.
How did he get away? How did he get away? That should not have happened. But I guess, well, now it's back to even. Goons is on such a low HP, but now Benny swings out onto Hash and downs the freaking ace. What is happening? All of a sudden, Young Studs able to hold their angles, and just, their guns are exploding now all of a sudden, and Byakko is now all of a sudden super far behind.
2-3 is the count. Bucktull absolutely ripped apart there by Benny. Super Sussy Soggy. It's all on the shoulders of a low health Iana. It won't even work. Reaper swings out of the doorway and collects those kills easy as you please. And that'll be the end here. So Young Studs walking away with a 4-2 on the defensive side. Byakko has to ice skate uphill here, Sirius, if they want to take away this win.
Well, I mean, we see hints of excellence coming out of them because they look like they have a plan going into these rounds. And so it's just a matter of, can they translate that to better success on their defenses? Hopefully that is the case, because we don't want to see them just kind of fall behind super far, because I like the game plans they're putting out. It's just not really connecting towards the later ends of the rounds. They're just letting Young Studs get a little too comfortable because they give them so much time to just kind of regroup, kind of settle things down, and then all of a sudden just allow their guns to kind of just come alive, and then all of a sudden it's a round win for Young Studs.
Yeah, the tempo from Byakko, I think it was something that we talked about earlier, and I said initially that I like their cautious playstyle, but I think towards the tail end there, honestly, it was starting to bite them, Sam. Like, they just were going, like you said, they're just going too slow. Young Studs getting more than enough time to warm the shotguns up, warm the weapons up, and there was really, nothing Byakko could do when push came to shove. I'm very curious to see the way that Byakko plays defense, whether they're more of an aggro team or whether they're a very sort of cagey, castle-y sort of team. I mean, the look now from Trophy Statuary makes me think that they're going to be a bit aggro, but I mean, it's early days yet for me to be judging.
Well, a little bit too aggressive as J-Rock gets the first kill on Goose. So that's some of that pressure gone from Statuary, and J-Rock does see another one on Buck.
Whoa!
They do light each other up, but Buck, being the worst out of the two, is now all of a sudden having to fall back to sight. Actually, he didn't even do any damage to J-Rock. It was just Super Sussy Soggy that got also a little bit of damage dealt to him.
Yeah, there's a good Nitro Cell coming back the other way. Goons is out, so no more Twitch drone to contend with, and that at least will relieve them of a little bit of a worry here. Certainly going to make the Kaid feel a little bit more comfortable as well with the placement of his Electro Claws. 4-4 is the count here as Reenactment steps up to the elbow. Still has one ping left on the Lion drone. You already used the others earlier on in the round. There's a little bit of droning coming in here as well, just trying to get a good idea of what awaits them here. Reenactment throwing in the first grenade right there, trying to burn some of these ADSs. Another one's over. The Gon 6 whipped out there, and the shield is down on Plains, so that'll open things up.
Well, now a little bit of a lull period as Soggy does swing onto J-Rock, as the rest of Young Studs essentially is trying to clear out this utility on site. Reenactment's all of a sudden all the way into Vault.
Whoa.
He's just made it super far in, is able to kill Buck, but now he's basically trapped. Soggy should be able to essentially hold a crossfire onto him, as well as the rest of the players in games. but now he's down, so that pressure is gone. Reenactment can now easily get this plant down if he's able to make his way back over to Aviator.
There is Reenactment slamming that plant down. Hash here holding on to bar, and the defenders have actually kind of been locked out of their own bomb site. Father trying to get back on, gets hit a couple of times and has to double back. The diffuser is officially down. Hash here stepping up through the vault, looking, finds one good shot. Benny wasn't paying heads up attention right there, but it's a 1v2, and it's Reenactment. The man who got into the bank vault gets all the way back out to the study. I do not even know. Reenactment, he's doing Nightcrawler teleportation stuff here. Serious? That lion's all over the place.
Well, that was certainly unexpected. I don't know what Buck was doing in vault to not really be aware of that happening. Because I mean, it's not like you need to look in towards the games part of the map. You have teammates there, so what was he looking at? I'm a little confused, but because of that, just him being a little unaware of the fact that Reenactment had walked so far up, just meant it was a free kill for him, and now all of a sudden, Byakko is just locked out of their own sight, like you highlighted, because of that fact that Reenactment just took so much map control, and now Young Studs just had all of Aviator in their control.
Yeah, it was a weird round. The amount of penetration that they were able to get right there from Young Studs, it seems not permissible. That's just not something that should happen, you know, on AVG of all sites. It just shouldn't happen. So Byakko, I mean, we talked about fatigue. We talked about it being a long day and it's getting late and stuff like that. And I do wonder if a couple of these slip-ups could be accredited to that. You know, you think about coming into the vault right there, for example, and I think that's a classic kind of idea, maybe that he's just tired. You know, he's not paying as much attention. He's not as sharp as he needs to be. Regardless, Young Studs has opened up one heck of a lead right here. And Byakko, I mean, they should have the advantage sitting on the defense to kind of tighten that back up. But I'll be honest with you, Sirius, I just don't know. I don't see it happening. It just seems like Young Studs is pretty much in the driver's seat here.
I mean, Young Studs have all the momentum they need to really secure themselves match point in this round. It's just going to be a matter of, can Byakko finally adapt and just be generally a little bit more aware and just not give away these early frags super early on? Because they were doing good about that, just kind of staying alive, get some nice kills onto them, as we see Goose gets a nice shot onto J-Rock, basically denying that entire bathroom push. But now Reenactment gets another kill onto Soggy, so now it's back to even and the C4 is off the board.
And Goose hits bricks right there and just gets out of dodge. Reenactment here pushing up over towards the 90. Goose doubling back the other direction. If they're not careful, they're actually going to run face first into Reenactment. Goose does slow the tempo just a little bit right up there. Pumps the brakes. It's Reenactment, though, who strikes first. The Viking crew cut delivered to Goose, and that'll be the end there for the alibi. 3-4 now on the board. The Lion still got tools to play with. At least one more drone strike in here if they need it, as Buckthall starts to fall back, ducks all the way into the corner, doubles back now, checking out the doorway of games. Meanwhile, Goons is outside destroying default cameras. I don't think they have any Twitch drones left either, unfortunately, so that's just where we are here as they prepare to breach. Never mind, Reapers just steps up, and Buckthall is caught looking and absolutely annihilated. Now everything on the shoulders of Fathers here. Here comes the smoke grenade from Hash, but it's Reenactment swinging the corner. A triple kill for Reenactment on this round. And that leaves everything's on the shoulders of the Kaid, who steps out of the vault and is immediately sent right back into it.
I have no words. It's the same thing over and over again for Byakko. Just kind of, well, all of a sudden you start off well and then immediately it all goes downhill. It's just the same time old saying. It's just like, you need to make sure you play consistently in order to win these rounds out. You haven't really been all that consistent. You're consistently good in the early rounds, but then mid to late rounds, you've been kind of just a little lacking, I would say, in general lack of awareness and the positioning of Young Studs is just really costing them at the moment. And it's really not good to see, because like you were mentioning, now they're on defense. This should be an advantage for them. But right now, it's all of a sudden 6-2, and it's possibly Young Studs looking to close it out right here and now.
Yeah, I'll put it under the category of like squad broken. Like I just the body is there, right? But I don't know that the spirit is willing anymore on the side of Byakko, and that happens. I mean, that's gonna happen, and it's not to the point where I could say that it's irrecoverable, right? Series like they could do it. I just don't think that they are. I mean, I think that whatever they had that was pushing them in this match is pretty much done and dusted.
Yeah, well, like you mentioned, crazier things have happened. We have seen maybe a few comebacks. I haven't personally seen any while I've been casting these qualifiers, but, you know, potential is there. If they can shore up some of their defenses, make sure they don't make as many mistakes super early on, then they should hopefully be looking a lot better, because I like some of these defenses they've been putting out. It's just they're letting kind of young studs do whatever they want and just kind of ride off the momentum they've been really massively on.
Yeah, and there's been no foot on the brake here for the side of young studs, and they seem happy to just sort of finish this one out. Bucktal, by the way, nearly loses their face there as they quick peek the corner leading in master bedroom, but it is not to be. J-Rock now leading in with the drone instead, trying to figure out exactly how young studs wants to approach this. Looks like J-Rock is going to step up into the master bedroom. Still some cover on the door from the Nomad. At least one air jab planted. I think possibly a second one about to go down, and sure enough, so two of the air jabs out. J-Rock stepping up to the wall here, leading into Statuary, but it's Goons who will strike first on the Lion. Picks up one kill onto Goose. 4-5 now. Oh, never mind. 2-5 just as soon as it's done. 1-5. What? Byakko, the wheels just come off here in this match point round, and Hash cannot do it. And young studs qualify in style with a flawless round here on Villa.
Okay, well, it's like that was just the catalyst for that entire round. Just as soon as that first kill came out, it's like, all right, we have what we need. We're going. We're not stopping. just put their foots on their throats and just choke them out. Unfortunately,
game over.
I mean, more than likely, barring anything crazy happening, barring a 7-0 on the other stream, that should qualify young studs for the close qualifier tomorrow. With that excellent round count now, they should be up like +5 with that 7-2 win, so they're going to be looking really good.
They certainly are going to be looking really good, and what a way for them to end it as well. They got to be happy with that note series. They got to be absolutely happy. But that's going to do it here for us on the B stream. Thank you so much for joining us today for SCS Quals here on SFCL. If you kick your way over to Nerd Street R6, you can see the A stream where currently EQ3 sits at 5 and Didn't Ask sits at 3. But for now, from all of us here at SFCL and SCS, thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful evening.